50 guests to mingle behind the walls of the royal residence for a reception that included a twist on traditional English fare.
Little mini Yorkshire puddings with roast beef, and then quail's eggs, and all things that were taken from the royal estates.
Guests were served his and hers wedding cakes. The bride chose a cream and white multi-tiered fruit cake designed by Fiona Cairns.
It's a traditional cake, but it is also, I would say, quite delicate, quite modern, with a vintage element.
The groom opted for a childhood favorite, a chocolate biscuit cake made by McVitie's from a secret family recipe.
I wish I could tell you, but unfortunately it's the palace's recipe, and they've sworn me to secrecy.
All over England, wedding fever took hold. Official street parties, from Kate's hometown of Bucklebury to local neighborhoods, and even number 10 Downing Street. The beaming couple had some fun, showing just how much they want to be like normal newlyweds. They jumped into a convertible Aston Martin festooned with balloons and a license tag announcing their new status, and drove back to Clarence House. They would be heading back to Buckingham Palace for a party that promised to keep them up all night. It took Catherine Elizabeth Middleton 29 years to become a royal princess. Of course, she's already a fashion queen.
It was the most anticipated, most heavily guarded secret of the entire wedding, and it'll probably be the most analyzed part of the day. It is, of course, the royal wedding dress.
So, how did Kate do with her choice of royal wedding dress?
2 words: serene and regal.
David Emanuel should know. He designed the royal gown for another beautiful young princess.
The Emanuel look 30 years ago was full-blown romantic, and it suited Diana because she was younger and fresher. Catherine, of course, now that the mood is different. This one is much more in control. She now knows, I think, really, truly what is expected of her.
Kate worked closely with British designer Sarah Burton. The result, a toned-down version of the provocative Alexander McQueen style.
McQueen is cutting edge. He's out there. He's runway. And I'm thinking, if it's too avant-garde, it's not kind of royal. This was dramatic in its simplicity.
This is obviously a big day for the British monarchy.
Sure.
How about for British fashion?
It's put us back on the fashion map again. The British at their best when they go to weddings, they love their hats. These huge galleons of hats. You saw straw, you saw feathers, you saw fascinators.
So today for hats was a good day?
Fantastic day for hats. Wow, that's an interesting hat.
Well, maybe not all hats.
The princesses, Prince Andrew's daughters, was like too much. It was like too much of a creation.
Too much zhuzh?
Too much zhuzh.
But in the end, it'll be the simple elegance of the bride that everyone remembers.
The world is aching for a new start. This is just the beginning.
Even though Kate Middleton married her prince today, according to a recent poll, nearly 9 out of 10 British women wouldn't trade places with her. Almost all of them cited the difficulty of leading a normal life as a royal. Even on their wedding day, there's a question being whispered. Where do William and Kate go from here? What's next?
What happens next is this. This is Wales. And not just Wales, it's about as far as you can get in Wales without falling off. About as far as you can get from the relentless prying eyes of the world's press and still stay in the country. It's a land of myths and sheep and isolated farmhouses, one of which William and Kate will live in. They say you can squeeze about 10 years of marriage into a year out here, and William still has 2 years to go, based here as a search and rescue helicopter pilot.
It's emotional, it's physical, it's very demanding.
It can get pretty rough. It's pretty unpleasant out there. You're flying rescue missions. You know, I think it's quite hairy sometimes.
Journalist and friend Tom Bradby.
So, you know, he's got a real job.
And a real wife. They'll be living here without any servants, hoping for some private quality time. It's hard to get more private than here.
They can just do their thing, sit with pizzas on their laps in front of the television.
British Magazine editor Rachel Johnson.
They can just pretend they are any old newly married couple for a bit.
Except that William is second in line to the throne, and it's a good bet that sooner or later, probably sooner, the press will come calling.
Why should the press stay away from them?
Can I just ask you to make sure you don't block the pavements?
Kate's already had a taste of the paparazzi, and they certainly have an appetite for her.
That's a picture which will go down in history.
Celebrity photographer Owen Beanie took this now famous photo of Kate taking out the trash.
People are going to be using this picture again and again.
She's money in the bank.
Thousands of pounds that have been made for just one frame.
Interested spectators there, both of them. Who are they, by the way?
William and Kate.
Are they really?
But mostly the press has behaved itself, restrained itself even with William and Kate. Why? 2 words, Princess Diana.
No one wants to go down that road again. The paparazzi had an absolute field day, and they drove poor Diana to the brink.
Newspaper columnist Richard Kay.
People are conscious that because that happened before, we mustn't allow it to happen again.
Maybe.
Guys, come on, let's get a car.
But to help them along, there's now also the threat of legal action, politely called here the red carpet rule.
If a celebrity or member of the royal family is out on official business, then the press are able to. But when these same people go out privately, then officially the attitude is hands off, back off, they're entitled to a private life.
A private life proved impossible for Diana. So she tried to use the press's fascination with her to focus attention on her favorite charities.
William's mother was this massive, iconic figure, the most famous figure of our age. Is that worrying? Is that intimidating?
I would love to have met her, and she's obviously she's an inspirational woman to look up to.
No one's trying to fill my mother's shoes, and what she did is fantastic. It's about making your own future and your own destiny, and Kate will do a very good job of that.
What are royals good at? They're good at raising money. They're good at raising funds for charities.
Ken Wharf was a bodyguard for Princess Diana and her sons.
Be gentle.
What you're seeing now in William is a sort of male replica of his mother's ideas.
2 more.
Of that I'm certain.
But if royals are good for charity, what they're best at is making more royals. That's what royal marriages are for.
Children, do you want lots of children? You know, see what comes. What's your...
I think we'll take it one step at a time. We'll sort of get over the marriage thing first and then maybe look at the kids. But obviously, you know, we want a family, so, you know, we'll have to start thinking about that.
And children will be good for the monarchy and good for the media.
Once the wedding's out the way, what's our next storyline? Where's the next revenue stream coming from? That's how it works.
The soap opera continues, in other words.
The soap opera has begun, and it will continue.
Hopefully long into the future.
I have very, very high hopes for this couple. They're the same age. They went to the same university. They've been together for 8 years. Their eyes are wide open as they go into it. For all these reasons, it might work.
The Duchess of Cambridge has spoken. Tonight, the former Kate Middleton said, "We had a great day." The newlyweds had one last event on their dance card on this royally choreographed day, a party at Buckingham Palace hosted by Prince Charles. 300 people, no cameras, and just the absolute inner circle.
This was very much a private family and friends affair. It was an opportunity for the royal couple to finally let their hair down, relax on their wedding day, and really be able to get down and party as any regular bride and groom would at their reception.
While nobody knows the exact cost of throwing the wedding of a lifetime, what we do know is that the royal family paid for most of today's events, spending, some say, as much as £40 million. That's $65 million. But the Middletons chipped in a hefty chunk as well.
By the time they've bought all the frocks, paid for the wedding dress, the honeymoon, the hotels, I should think it's definitely cost them $500,000. And that's what they wanted to do for their eldest daughter.
As the wedding moved into the night, Catherine changed into a stunning ivory gown with a jeweled waistband, also created by Sarah Burton. Later, behind closed doors, Prince Harry got a chance to poke fun at his brother with a toast.
Harry has such a good sense of humour, and he's got his mother's really quick wit. He just gets it.
Thank you. There's one more surprise left. A top-secret honeymoon destination. Among the possible locations, the island of Barbuda, which William and Harry visited as kids with their mother. Necker Island, the West Indian resort owned by Virgin Atlantic tycoon Richard Branson, and the Greek island of Corfu. So whether or not you see William and Kate as the start of a royal renaissance, today at least the world was their stage. Time will judge the staying power of their marriage and the monarchy. But this was one for the history books and the blogs. We leave you tonight with some memorable moments. I'm Kitty Couric. Thanks for watching. Good night.
With this ring I thee wed.
With this ring I thee wed.